So today we have verses 12, 13, and 14 lined up of the Bhagavad Gita. And I will start chanting with verse number 12. श्रेयो हि ज्ञानमभ्यासात् ज्ञानाध्यानम् विशेष्यते ध्यानात् कर्मफलः त्यागच्छान्तिरन्तरम्. So this verse translates to: better indeed is knowledge than practice. Better than knowledge is meditation. Than meditation, so better is implied. Better than meditation is the renunciation of the fruit of action. Peace immediately follows renunciation. So some kind of a hierarchy is being presented before us. Let's take this up word by word. Shreyo or Shreya is better. He indeed. Jnanam is knowledge. Abhyasat. Abhyas is practice. Abhyasat becomes than practice. Gyan is knowledge. So Jnanath becomes than knowledge. Dhyanam is meditation. Vishishyate excels. Dhyanat than meditation. Karma phal tyagaha. Karma is action, phal is fruit, tyag is renunciation. So karma phal tyag becomes renunciation of fruit of action. Tyagat from meditation, from renunciation. Shanti is peace. Anantaram, immediately. So the verse translates to: better indeed is knowledge than practice. Better than knowledge is meditation. Better than meditation is the renunciation of the fruit of action. Peace immediately follows renunciation. So let's chant it together. Shreyo hi jnanamabhyasa jnanadhyayanam vishishyate ध्यानात् कर्मफलः त्यागः त्यागाच्छान्तरन्तरम्. So as we just recapped, in the last four verses, verses 8, 9, 10, and 11 of this chapter, four alternative methods were given to us to reach that God, depending upon our condition, the state of vasanas in all of us. And they were presented in the decreasing order of the seeker's qualifications. So for a seeker who has very few vasanas, meditation was given. For a seeker with more vasanas, abhyas yoga was given. And verse number 10 talked about karma yoga, so dedicating all actions to God for a person with still higher vasanas. And the last category of seekers, which had a lot of vasanas unfulfilled, they were told to renounce the fruit of action and be controlled, practice self-control, right? So this was the hierarchy in which we had just finished the methods. Okay. So now in this verse, Krishna is, in one verse, he's comparing all these methods so that the nuances of the methods are to be are brought out. I mean, that is up to our interpretation and our understanding. And some of them are actually bringing out apparent contradiction. Because what is he saying? He's saying that better indeed is knowledge than practice. Better than knowledge is meditation. Better than meditation is the renunciation of fruit of action, right? So do you notice any contradiction?
So as your vasanas are sort of reducing, but renunciation is of fruits of action is the highest as per this is the highest.
Exactly. That is the basic contradiction, right?
Yeah.
And so good. I'm happy you caught on to that, you know. Now, when contradictions are presented before us, right, the idea is that the teacher is paying, you know, is checking whether you are paying attention or not. Basically, we should pause, think, and reflect upon what is being said. Because Krishna could not be making such a blatant mistake, right? So now let's take this up. Uh, Practice by, you know, comparison by comparison. So first he says, Shreyo Jnanam Abhyasat, right? Knowledge is better than practice. Now, this in itself is a contradiction because since the time we have started study of the scripture, or even before that, when we were doing the Ishopanishad, you know, we kept saying that we have the knowledge. We know that, you know, this is the way you should work, remove your vasanas and exercise self-control, treat everyone as equal, right? So, but we don't practice it. So that is what we actually are addressing in and through our sessions. So that means, what are we saying? The gist of it is that we are saying that practice is better than knowledge, right? Because whatever little you know, you should practice it. Correct. In this verse, Krishna is saying the opposite. He is saying that knowledge is better than practice. Now, what this implies is that the spiritual practice is futile if we don't know the meaning and purpose of what we are doing and why we are doing. Right? So basically, if you sit down in meditation and you keep saying Om, 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 or, you know, any mantra, or you do puja. So every Monday you go and light a lamp, every evening you light a diya, or do a havan. So these are just meaningless rituals if you don't understand why you're doing them. Okay. So bodily we are doing it. So we go to the temple every Tuesday, we go to the temple every Saturday, we go chadhao the prasad, get a tika on our head and move on, you know. The mind and intellect are not there. We do not understand why we are going to the temple and what are we doing there, right? So in such cases, the basic purpose of the ritual is lost. Okay. So, you know, when a lot of us would be doing the Shraddh, for example, the Pandit actually explains to you the process. You have those rice grains and you mix them, you know, so that purpose needs to be explained to the both. The Pandit should be knowing it. And then we, the person who is actually doing the puja, should be knowing why I am doing it. And I think one of the questions last time was relating to this, the methods which the Pandits adopt. Now, if you don't know why you're doing it, you just chant, you know, the mantras, you don't know what it means. And why are you chanting a particular mantra at a particular event? Okay, so if it's a birth celebration, you will chant different set of mantras. If it is a death prayer meeting, you will do a different set of mantras. So we are just so ritualistic and we don't understand what we are doing and why we are doing. It is like singing the national anthem on every, 26th January and 15th August, and without really understanding its meaning and its significance, what it is, what it means actually. So, from that point of view, perspective, Krishna says that knowledge must support the practice, and therefore knowledge is superior to practice. So that was the first item. Then he goes on to say, Jnanat Dhyanam Vishishyate. Meditation is superior to knowledge. Here there is no apparent contradiction to the four practices that we just covered. And what is meditation now? Let's just take this up once. Is meditation unites the knower. So we know that Brahman, that absolute, infinite, blissful. We try to unite, or the knower, the knower tries to unite with what is to be known. That is what meditation is. So this is direct, intuitive understanding of God. Because God is without attributes, we cannot understand God through our finite means. And just as in science, we have, always the practicals come after the theory sessions. So similarly, meditation is the practical experience of the knowledge that we are gaining through the study of the scriptures. So meditation is internalization of the knowledge that we have read or we have heard. And from that point of view, meditation is superior to knowledge. And meditation strengthens the knowledge of the self. So when we sit and meditate, we actually become stronger in our knowledge of the self and more firm in our belief in the self. Then the next thing that is said, the first half of the second line, dhyanat karma phala tyaga. Now, renunciation of fruits of action is superior to meditation. And this, we all agree, is a contradiction to verse number 11, where he says, the renunciation of the fruit of action was prescribed for the last category of seekers. But here, that hierarchy is turned upside down, as it were. So what he is saying is that renunciation of the fruit of action is superior to meditation, where meditation is the highest spiritual practice. And what the Lord is saying, that the renunciation of the fruit of action is superior to meditation. And as we just recapped, renunciation of the fruit of action is the place from the basic principle from where we start the Karma Yoga, where we do a course correction, right? Now, fruit of action actually taint us or stick to us, or they make us anxious. We start worrying, and we are always bothered about whether the result will come or not. And this, you don't observe it in yourself, but when you see a child, and you say that, okay, so maybe it's a grandchild, and you say, you take him or her around the garden, and you say, okay, this tree has come out from the small seed. So the child says, really? So you say, yeah, why don't you sow a seed, and let's watch it grow. So let's say you give a papaya seed, so the seed is planted and you take care. Now the child will wait maybe patiently for 5 days, but every day the child will go and see, okay, what happened? And on the sixth, seventh day, the child will say, nothing has happened. When will it happen? That's exactly the way we behave. So when we sit down in meditation, what is our worry? I've been practicing for the last, sitting and meditating for the last 7 months or 7 years, whatever the time period, it is immaterial. We are stressed out as to, will I reach God? I've been doing this for the past 7 months. Nothing seems to be working for me. And when will I reach? How long will it take? Just like that child. And then you keep telling the child that, okay, when the season will come, it'll happen. Same thing for us. When it is desired, or when we reach that state, the fruit will come. So we don't have to worry about the fruit of action. And that is what is being said here. Renunciation of the fruit of action is superior to meditation. And therefore, even when we sit in meditation, the focus on that fruit of action, or when will I realize God, that should be renounced. And from that point of view, the renunciation of fruit of action is superior to meditation. That practice has to be followed even when we are sitting in meditation. Then the last bit is Shanti Anantaram. So once you have given up the fruit of action in meditation also, peace immediately follows, or we will attain the supreme bliss and merge with God. So with that, that is what is being said in this comparison of the uh, practices or the four facets of the spiritual disciplines. Now, we move on to verse number 13, and we will take up 13 and 14 together. So I will chant first. Adveshta sarvabhutanam मैत्रः करुण एव च निरहङ्कारः सन्तोषमी सन्तुष्टः सततं योगी यतात्मा दृढनिश्चया मय्यर्पित मनोर्बुद्धिः यो मद्भक्तः स मे प्रियः. So the verses, we'll take them up together. Verses translate to verse number 13. Not hating any being, friendly and compassionate, free from attachment and egoism, balanced in pleasure, pain, and forgiving. Verse number 14. Perfectly content, yogi, or one seeking union with the self, self-controlled, of firm conviction, with mind and intellect dedicated to me, that my devotee is dear to me. So let's take this up word by word. Adveshta. Dvesh is dislike, adveshta is not hating. Sarv Bhutanam, Sarv is all, Bhutanam is being, so Bhut is beings actually, so Sarv Bhutanam becomes of all beings. Maitra or Mitra, friendly. Karuna, it's a, it's a, what should I say, adjective which means compassionate. Ev also, Cha and Nirmam. Ni is without, mum is mindness. So nirmam becomes without mindness or without possessiveness. Nirahankar, ahankar is egoism. So nirahankar becomes without egoism. Sam, dukh, sukh. Sam is balanced. Dukh is pain. Sukh is pleasure. So sam, dukh, sukh becomes balanced in pain and pleasure. Kshami is forgiving. So this was the first verse, 13th verse, which translates to not hating any being, friendly and compassionate, free from attachment and egoism, balanced in pleasure and pain, and forgiving. Verse number 14, Santushtaha is perfectly content or content. But perfectly underscores the fact of the quality of contentment. Satatam is eternally, always. Yogi is a person who's seeking union with the self. Yatatma is one who is able to control one's own Atma or self-controlled. Dridh Nishchay, firm determination. Nishchay is resolve, so of firm conviction. Mai, to me. Arpit Mano Buddhi. Arpit is to dedicate. Man is mind. Buddhi is intellect. So Arpit Mano Buddhi is with mind and intellect dedicated.
इसमें क्यों लिया है यार?
Yeah, that
ये तो
someone needs to.
ट्रांसपेरेंट में दिया करना.
Okay. So, yeah, where were we? Ya is he, may, my, bhakt is devotee, saha, that, may to me, priya is dear. So verse number 14 translates to perfectly content, the yogi or seeking union with the self, self-controlled, of firm conviction, with mind and intellect dedicated to me, that my devotee is dear to me. So let's chant it together. Adveshta sarvabhutanam Maitra karuna eva cha nirmamo
निरहङ्कारः
दुःखशमी
सन्तुष्टः
सततं योगी
यतात्मा
निश्चया
मय्यर्पित
मनोबुद्धिः
यो मद्भक्तः
सह मे प्रियः.
Now, we are at the end of the chapter. This was a very short chapter, as I mentioned in the beginning, only 20 verses. Now, this verse number 13 onwards till the end. So, the last 8 verses of this chapter, Bhakti Yoga, are actually talking of the 35 qualities of a true devotee, true bhakta. Now we must understand that devotion is not, as we just mentioned, going to temple every Monday and Saturday and performance of rituals. Doing all that, those are rituals, fine, you're doing them. But in and through all those rituals that you're doing as a bhakta or seeking union, there's certain qualities which must start start manifesting or unfolding within yourself. So the qualities that we are going to cover, the 35 qualities from now on, so these qualities should be unfolded by true devotion. Now, we also should understand that love and devotion are actually two aspects of the same emotion, fondness, or the only difference is that when the object of devotion changes or fondness changes, so it either becomes love or it becomes devotion. So when directed towards a worldly object or a peer person, or a pet, a family, home, it is termed love. So I love my pet, I love my family, I love my house, so it's all at the very, very worldly level. Now when the same emotion is directed to someone at a higher level, for example, a guru or God, someone who is superior to us, whom we consider superior to us, it becomes devotion. So basically, the underlying attribute is the same. The quality differs according to the placement of the object compared to ourselves, in relation to ourselves. So let's start with the qualities. So the first quality, Adveshta Sarva Bhutanam, not hating any being. So a true devotee loves one and all. So any exception mars the true devotee status. So when we say that such and such is a true bhakta, even if you detest just one person, you are out of that league. Okay. And why does the devotee love one and everyone, one and all? Okay. Because his connect with that supreme reality is complete. The devotee's connect with the supreme reality is complete. And he sees this world of plurality as nothing but the manifestation of that supreme reality. So in our case, what happens is that, we are composed of this finite equipment, the body, mind, and intellect. And all this is relevant through our pure consciousness, which we call Om. So all of us have that, without that Atma, I could not be talking, you could not be listening. I mean, the entire equipments are enabled by that pure consciousness. Now, the point is that when we identify with the body, mind, and intellect, we only transact at that level. So we see the world of names and forms. So I see myself and I see someone else as so and so, someone else's house is such a place. So this world of name and form starts appearing in front of me. But as we do a course correction, and instead of moving outward into the world, we start moving in towards that pure consciousness. So, or we shift the focus to the self within us, we start seeing oneness with the entire creation. And then we realize that if I don't like someone or if I detest someone, in a way, I'm detesting God Himself, because that person or that being is also a manifestation of that God. So, in that state of oneness, the hatred or the detest transforms into harmony, love, and devotion as the case may be. I mean, so you may not like certain things, but you will not be very strong in your dislike. So a true devotee is free from malice, even towards those who are inimical towards the devotee himself or herself. So this was the first quality, not hating any being. The second quality, Maitre, is friendly, which is again a fallout of the previous quality. A true devotee is friendly towards one and all. So, see, we may not like negative traits, so telling a lie or being late, even in ourselves and even in the other person. But because of this negative trait coming out in a person, you don't start disliking people or you don't start hating them. You, in fact, become accepting. You should be actually accepting of them. So when you know that someone is tends to come late, you are more accepting of that person. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen towards human beings, but this automatically happens when we are interacting with animals. So we are accepting of all kinds of animals. See, monkeys are very destructive by nature. We don't like their destructive nature, but you don't detest monkeys. You know that you have to be careful of snakes. So, I mean, you may not want to go and pet a snake. You will not do that. So the same thing has to be practiced towards human beings as well. Amongst the human beings, you have tigers, snakes, sheep, cows, everything. All kinds of beings are reflected in our personality. Now, being friendly, we must appreciate, does not mean that you treat them alike. So maybe with a friend who can keep your secrets, you will go and say something, which is bothering you, which you don't want to pass on. But with someone whom you know that, he or she is likely to pass it on the drop of a hat, you will not, share that secret. Just as the way we pet a cow, but we will not pet a snake. So being friendly is a quality. Being friendly towards all is the true quality. The devotee is the quality. However, we must understand how to deal with the kind of people we are interacting with. So that was the second quality, friendliness. Karuna or compassion, compassionate. So a true devotee is sympathetic towards less fortunate beings. He realizes that, okay, I mean, everyone is at a particular state in the world because of whatever the past actions. And you he does not have to feel superior or be in awe of someone who is better than him or her. In fact, wherever required to a person who is weaker than him or her, one should extend whatever support we can give and be compassionate towards them, right? Nirmam, now free from attachment to possessions or without mindness. Now, see, possessions are not forbidden by our scriptures or any scripture for that matter. We are not saying that if I have 1 crore in my account, I must immediately go and donate it. If I have three, bungalows, I must go and donate 2 of them or maybe 3 of them and go and stay in a hut. No, we're not saying that. We can have them, we can enjoy them. There are no restrictions on the number of our possessions and the kind of possessions. The only attribute that we need to drop is mindness, right? Because now let's analyze this. So when I say, let's take the example of this session. We are having this session. So I say, this is my session. Okay. How is it mine? I am on Zoom. Did I invent the technology? I have just subscribed to the Zoom, by paying a rental. The laptop that I'm using, nothing has been done by me, right? You people who are participating, I just send a message and you're there. Message is sent on WhatsApp, okay, again, which I'm not, I mean, I'm just using it, right? So when I say what is mine, is it technology mine, the equipment mine, are the applications mine? We are saying that this is the money that I have spent for the purchase of, the equipment and so on and so forth. That is what I'm calling mine. Okay. Similarly for my house and so on and so forth. This applies across the board to wherever you say mine, my home, my family. Now, let's go back to the money example. So when I say that, my session, so I mean the money that I have invested in, buying the Zoom license and so on and so forth. Where did I get this money from? So from as part of my remuneration from the organization where I was working, right? Now, when I was working as part of the team or heading a department, did not all those people who were working under me supporting me and helping me meet my deadlines so that I could take the credit for the, I mean, okay, maybe I did not, all of us took the credit, but we were able to deliver. So again, hundreds of people have contributed to what we have earned. So when we have this possessive attitude, my laptop, my dress, my car, my house, we just seem to forget other people's contribution in everything. Now, the true devotee, because he's absolutely connected with God, he understands that everything is in God. And the devotee also is functioning from because of God. He exists in that substratum. So when I'm speaking, I'm able to speak because my speech is enabled, empowered by that Paramatman. When you are hearing, you're able to hear because your faculties of hearing are enabled by that same Paramatman. So we are all actually existing in Paramatman or God. But when we identify again, it's a repeat, at the level of the body, mind, and intellect, we appear to see differences. But when we see it at the level of the Atman, we are all the same, right? So the true devotee understands this oneness, and therefore the mindness goes away. And there is no sense of possession because the person realizes that it is all God's. And he functions in the spirit of Vasudev Kutumbakam, or the world is one family, right? That is the devotee's attitude towards whatever activities he is doing, treats the world as one large family. And at this point, I couldn't help but bring up Ishavasya Upanishad, verse number 1, which I know is dear to a lot of us, which says precisely this. And I will read the verse. Ishavasya sarvam yat kincha jagatyam jagat. Tena tyakten bhunjitaha ma gridha kasya svidh dhanam. So what the verse is saying? Ishavasya ईश का वास है इसमें. So God resides in this sarvam, all, yat kinch jagatyam jagat. So what all that you see, chal and achal, or moving or non-moving, God resides in all this that you see around you. Ten tyakten, उसको भोगो, तेन that, त्यक्तेन त्याग पूर्वक भोगो, भुंजिता, भोगो, right? So enjoy the whatever comes your way. So we are not saying that, okay, someone is, you have 1 crore in the bank, you have to go and give it up. When he's talking of tyag purvak, it means that mindness, because the last bit says ma gridha kasya suddhanam. After all, so don't have, gridh is greed towards it, gridh drishti. The word greed, English word greed has come from this gridh. Okay, so don't be greedy. Kasya svidhanam, whose wealth is it anyway? It's not yours. Okay, so this is what that brilliant verse number 1 of Ish Upanishad says precisely this, that don't have mindness towards the whatever you are enjoying. Okay. The next quality, nirahankara, free from egoism or I-ness. So we were talking about possessiveness previously. Now we are talking about egolessness. So the ego is reflected in that, in three broad ways, that I feel that I am the best, that there's no one better than me. I'm the most talented. I'm the most beautiful. I'm the most powerful. That is one expression of ego. Second is that the we feel that I am the only one who exists, so the entire world has to cater to me. Whatever I'm doing, they have to talk about me. If I ask for something, immediately it should be done. So that is another manifestation of the ego. And the third, which is very common, is doership, that I did this. I had built my house, or I looked after tended to my garden, or I made that deadline, I met the target. That way we feel that we are the doers. And as in the example that we just covered, we always forget the hundreds and thousands of people who contribute to what and where we are today. And therefore, I think I should mention this here, that the masters of yore, you see, in India, in Indian tradition, we don't have this concept of having patents and copyrights at the drop of a hat. So Ayurveda, for example, is really not patented. And even the use of turmeric and so many things which are coming up now, because the West is seeking patents for those practices which moved to them later on. So in the Indian tradition, we don't have this thing of saying that the patent should go to me, okay, for a particular practice. We always considered the education also as a heritage. So each master added his own uh, interpretations and new methods, okay, to that same eternal principles that we have been covering. So, for example, what I'm able to speak today is thanks to my teacher who endowed me with that knowledge. He in turn got it from his teacher, and so on and so forth. So just the way we have ancestry of human beings, even the knowledge is really not attributed to a particular person, because that person realized that his knowledge is a result of the work which has gone in, much before he propounded a particular law or a particular theorem. So in Indian tradition, we don't have this concept of having patents or attributing it to myself. So they will say, a teacher, a true guru will not say that I'm saying that. He will always say that we are saying this. By we, he means me and all the teachers who have taught my teacher onwards, backwards. So, and if you even look at it, when you say that I stitched a button for an act, doership, I stitched a button. Okay, fine. What did you do? You picked up a needle, you picked up a thread, and you picked up a button and tacked it onto to a shirt of yours where it was missing. Did you make the needle? Did you make the thread? Did you make the button? So when you say, okay, fine, the last bit you did, but that doership should never be there. So a true devotee does not function only at the level of the body, mind, and intellect. His functioning is at the level of the pure consciousness. And therefore, as in case of mindness, he has no I-ness also. He has no ego, because he understands that everything is supported by God. Then we come to some dukh and sukh, balanced in pleasure and pain. And okay, I think one will be overshooting, but never mind. I think I'll bring it out. See, pleasure and pain always comes out because of our likes and dislikes. And as far back as chapter 3, the chapter on Karma Yoga, and we had been talking about Raga Dvesh, or likes and dislikes. And verse number 34 of that chapter had specifically told to us the nature of likes and dislikes, or rag dvesh, that they do not lie in the object, okay, but in the senses, in our senses. Or what it's saying is that the likes and dislikes are not there in the world. but they are there in us. Okay. And in other words, rag dvesh are not objective but subjective. Simple example, does everyone like a cigarette? No, some people like it and others don't like it. A person, a man, woman, friend, whatever, some people like a person, other people don't like that person. Dresses, I mean, you see the wide variety in a mall or in the shopping area, everyone likes different things. I mean, if we all like one thing, then only one kind of material needed to be produced. So object being whatever it is, the same actually, one mind likes it and another mind dislikes it. Now, what happens is that as we grow up, our family, our loved ones, they are always catering to our likes and dislikes. So, as a mother, I mean, as your mother would have taken care of you. I mean, so when you reach home from the hostel, she would say, oh, she's fond of this, let's say biryani. So I'll make biryani. She likes that. You are doing the same to your children, right? So what is happening is that the likes and dislikes are actually becoming strengthened. And consequently, we all are a bundle of likes and dislikes, continuously drawn to actions and objects that we like and rejecting those that we don't like. So I don't want to get up early in the morning. I don't get up. I don't make an effort. Now, consequently, what happens is that the likes and dislikes start dominating us. So I don't like to get up in the morning. I'll not get up. So the dislike for getting up in the morning is dominating me. The domination of the like and dislike of these, whatever we like to do and what we don't like to do, leads us to the pairs of opposites: pleasure and pain, joy and sorrow, honor and dishonor, hot and cold. These are all the pairs of opposites that we get into it. Now, because of this, we get agitated, because when our likes are catered to, we are happy, we are content, uh, relatively content. Okay. When they're not met, we get agitated. Now I want this. Okay. And this will happen. The world cannot continuously keep catering to our likes and dislikes or our rag and dvesh. And the true devotee understands that the world is a flux of change and will not always cater to our personal preferences. And therefore, whether it is hot or cold, whether someone appreciates or someone criticizes, the person is balanced. It does not get agitated. See, physically, if it is hot and the electricity is gone and I'm sitting in a room without a fan, I will sweat. Okay, maybe I will try to find out a mechanism which can cool me down a bit. If it doesn't work, well, fine, I will continue. I'll not get hassled about the whole thing. My faculties, my intellect and mind will continue to work. I will not go about raving mad, कि अरे यार कितनी गर्मी है, क्या करें, it doesn't work. So you start living through all that. You become balanced in both pleasure and pain. So when your likes are met and when they're not met, you're balanced. Then kshami is forgiving. Now, how do you develop this quality? Only when you understand that every person is functioning from the level of their nature. So if it is a tamasic person, he's functioning from that level. And that is his capacity, his capability. And you can't change that person and make him sattvic, so that person is working from his or her level. Again, we are more accepting of this in plants and animals. We understand that the tree will bloom at the right time. A tiger will kill for food. We don't call a tiger a murderer. So the same logic we must apply to human beings also. A true devotee extends the same logic to human beings. He knows that when he goes to meets people, there will be someone critical, someone tyrannical, someone docile, and they will function according to their nature. He must be accepting, and therefore, if something is not correct or some action is not right, he is forgiving. Then we come to verse number 14 qualities. Santushtah satata. ever content. Now, how does contentment arise? Does it come from increasing our possessions? No. Okay. It comes by decreasing our wants. Unfortunately, leisure and pleasure are the two things we are continuously chasing in the world. And the nature of the mind is that it wants more and more and more. And discontentment is nothing but a state of mind. And a discontented person can never be happy. However, contentment is a quality that has to be trained. The mind has to be trained, got under the ages of the intellect, and trained that, okay, you don't need this, brother. So if you go to the mall, a lot of us, oh, that is nice. Summer is coming. So let me pick up another set of 10 dresses. Okay. Do I need them? Am I content with the ones that I already have? What will happen? Most probably those will go to Gunj stuff. We'll donate those or give it to our maids. So we have to train the mind. The mind should say that, okay, let me see my summer collection, then I will go and buy. We have to train the mind to be content under all conditions and at all times. Suppose I cannot afford a new dress this season. No problems. I will not buy it. I don't need it. I have so many as it is, right? It is a condition, it's just a state of mind which has to be brought under control of the intellect. Now, a devotee, a true devotee, is actually not focused on this outer world of objects and beings. He is aligned with that Paramatman within him. And that source, that is the source of his within him. So even while the devotee is working in the world and is actually quite active, it's not that he's sitting under a peepal tree in orange clothes and waiting for people passing by to give him alms. No, he's working. He's working towards the community or for the upliftment of the poor people. But he does not look upon these material objects as source of pleasure. He's not affected by the world. His source of happiness is within him, and therefore he doesn't want anything in the world, and he's already connected with the self. So he just wants to go closer and closer to the self. That's the only thing that he wants. So he's ever content. Then the next word that he uses is yogi, one uniting with the self. So what is yoga? Anyone? What is yoga? Anyone would like to venture? Yeah.
Union.
Yeah. Union with what? Union with the self. Right.
Yeah.
That is what
Yeah.
we call it. But what are we actually doing in yoga? Is we are getting beyond ourselves. We are extending ourselves to see oneness across the creation, opening our mind and extending our reach. So yogi is one who seeks union with the self and is interested in finding the ultimate truth, is living in the world but is not affected by the world. In contrast, we took up the case of the bhogi. Each new season, we want new dresses. So the bhogis are materialistic and sensual. So the devotee seeking union with the self has his body, mind, and intellect anchored in God. And therefore, all his actions, emotions, and thoughts are offered to God. And he never deviates from the path from his journey, from the path of God. Then we come to the next one, which is self-controlled, yatatma. So self-control means that if he is chosen a path for himself, if the activity is conducive, takes him further on the path, he does it. Otherwise, he will drop the activity. So he does not deviate from the path of yoga. So even though the yogi is also living in the same world that we are living in, this world with all its enchantments, the devotee is not tantalized by them. He is not distracted by them. Also, we must understand that self-control is not self-denial. That Ish Upanishad verse we just did, and what even the qualities while we are doing, enjoy. whatever you have, but do it with an inner spirit of renunciation. That means self-control is intelligent abstinence for anything that obstructs the journey on the path that we have set for ourselves. So the devotee enjoys the possessions and pleasures, but is intelligent enough not to let these possessions and charms come in the way of his path. Therefore, he is self-controlled. And a true devotee attaches his or her mind to God in loving devotion and is detached, is not affected by the world. The next quality that is mentioned is dridh nischay. Again, so literally translates to a firm resolve or conviction. He fixes a goal, and the goal, of course, as per the chapters 3, 4, and 5 that we did, is a higher ideal for beyond our selfish, self-centered interests. And we may be setting up relative ideals, which are goals in the world, or setting the absolute ideal, which is realizing the self. So for devotee, it is the reaching the self. The devotee continuously works towards the goal till the time he achieves the ideal. And determination is a resolve that you will proceed on the path, not deviate from that path till you have reached it. So determination is a quality of a resolute, it's the quality of the intellect. So he's a firm conviction that he has to achieve the goal that he has set for himself. Nothing else will distract him. And then he says the last the last quality is Mai Arpit Mano Buddhi. So mind and intellect dedicated to me. So when Krishna says me, he's talking from the level of that Paramatman, God, Brahman. So for my devotee, or the devotee has me as his only goal, and his entire mind and intellect is devoted to me, which means that the devotee has reduced desires and his or her faculties are available for concentration on the God. So even though the devotee is living in the material world, he has transcended this material layers, and all actions are directed towards self-unfoldment or reaching God. Now, at the mental level, see, the devotee is intelligent enough not to allow his energies to dissipate. He completely surrenders to the Lord. Unfortunately, in the world, we dissipate a lot of our energies, and at times we spend a lot of time where a little bit of time would suffice. So, a true devotee intelligently uses his time to think and process only God. So his intellect is available, and he reflects and contemplates upon self with no otherness. He's not bothered about what's happening around him, really. So Krishna says that such a devotee, whoever he may be, now that is interesting. No criteria for the devotee. I mean, other than the qualities, he could be young or old, vegetarian, non-vegetarian, Hindu, Muslim, it doesn't matter. Whoever exhibits these qualities is very dear to him. And with that, we end today's session. We'll do the concluding